Oh, cool. All right, guys, welcome back to another podcast episode of the Struggling Hunters. We got me, Joe Imes, and we got Eric clear out there in Colorado.
How y'all doing?
I thought, we're here back together again, talking about previous turkey hunt and how the weekend went, what we have coming up in the future, what to look forward to in the next couple weeks and then a couple months. But anyways, I want to say though too, thanks for those of you that have watched our episodes so far. It's been kind of fun to watch the little the view tick marks grow, get bigger, and we can get on and look to see what countries and whatnot, or what countries are listening to us. And we noticed that we had one clear out there in Germany. I was going to look up how to say hi in Germany, but anyways, if you're still listening, that's cool. Keep it up.
We really appreciate that. We're technically worldwide now.
Yeah,
it feels good.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of cool. But with that being said, we'll get going on some of the little talk points that we have here today. One of them is, turkey season. I've just got done here in Colorado and got done out there here in Utah where I am, man. And out in Colorado for Eric just this last the end of the month. And I was able to go, went out just Saturday morning. So hunting above Bountiful, it gets kind of busy, like crowded. People go up there, ride their dirt bikes and their razors and four-wheelers and whatnot. And a lot of people go up there to camp. And I've kind of found this, I wanted to go down this ridge and try to hunt this other area that I was getting into the end of last week. And as I went to, when I came upon the area that I was going to hunt, I noticed that there's people camping there, and they're camping like right on the trailhead. Like there was a trail going down this ridge. And, being public land, like I wasn't, I was kind of irritated, but not. And I didn't know if I should just walk through their camp, middle of their camp, down this trail to go turkey hunting. So I always feel like when I go out hunting, there's always some little reason like, oh, I'm done. I'm going to leave. I'm going home. I'm not putting up with this anymore. But I decided to push through that thought. And I knew of another little trail that I could dive off the road at. I've had some trail cameras off on it, come across some moose a couple times. So I went down that, and as I did, come across some turkey poop. So that's the freshest, and some of it was still pretty green. It wasn't steamy, but it was at least green. Didn't look dried out. Huh. And so then I just started working my way up and down the ridge that it was on. So I went up, worked the call a little bit, didn't have anything answered back, turned around, went back down, set up in this little spot, did some little turkey calls. And I swear that I could hear the turkeys like kind of starting to chirp. I didn't hear any gobbles or anything that was like, oh yeah, that's for sure a turkey. But there was a lot of songbirds, a lot of birds that were out just chirping and singing. And so trying to decipher all those and tuning those out and paying attention to the little chirps or the little clucks or whatever they call it, the turkeys make. I think they kind of just talk to each other. I swear that's what I was hearing, but I couldn't get them to come in to me. And so that was the end of my hunt. That was a good year, but were you able to get out this last week, Eric?
No, I wasn't. Like you said, though, I had a pretty good year turkey hunting. First year really pushing to go after turkeys. Never really done it before. And so this year being my first year doing it, it definitely made me pretty addicted to it as far as, I'm going to do the fall turkey hunt, and then next spring I'll do a turkey hunt. And, I really liked it. So I'm definitely addicted to it as far as that. But this weekend I didn't get out to it. Saturday had a baby shower for my wife and me. Our kid's about to come in a couple weeks actually. So yeah, getting ready for that. And, so we were so busy doing that Saturday, and then I couldn't get out to the woods Saturday. And then Sunday I had to get our last week's podcast going. And, long story short, I had some technical difficulties, and it pretty much took me all day to get things loaded up and edited and everything through the podcast. So I was going to try to go Sunday afternoon, for the last day and for the last few moments, and try to go out and get a turkey, but simply just didn't happen. Couldn't happen this last weekend. So I didn't get out and get anything. Kind of disappointed about it, but I feel like I learned a lot this year about turkeys. I feel like I learned a lot about just turkey hunting in general. And so next year, I'll hit it with a little more knowledge, a little more wisdom, and hopefully, take a turkey next year and not get skunked.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of twofold, two parts, I guess. What did you expect the turkey hunt to be this year, being that, not being out on one before or on your own, whatever. Anyways, so what were you expecting turkey hunting to be? And then how did turkey hunting end up for you, or what
was my takeaway?
Yeah.
My expectation at the beginning of the season, whenever I bought my tags or license rather, was that I was going to be taking pictures for the gram with my new turkey. Didn't happen. And my takeaway is I underestimated turkey hunting altogether. And I think that was why I never really got into it in the past, because I was like, oh, it's kind of easy, right? Like, I mean, I see turkeys all the time, but when you're out there hunting for them and trying to get, I mean, there's some sneaky little birds, and it's a lot harder than I really ever put credit toward. And which is good though. I mean, I'm glad that it, cause if it would have been too easy, then I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have fell for it as much. So my takeaway that I'm going to actually take into next year is, whenever I see a turkey, I'm going to try to take a mental note. If I see a turkey throughout the year, I'm going to try to take a mental note of where those are, so I maybe have an idea of, where I can go next year, instead of trying to find my, because this year I did a lot of scouting, if you will. Like, I mean, just trying to figure out where to go, where the turkeys may be. Hopefully I run into one. Hopefully I hear one. I mean, I was doing a lot of scouting because, I mean, I really had no insight from anybody else that was like, hey, go to this ridge or go here. I just trying to figure it out on my own. So
do you think this year, going through that though too, maybe helps you maybe to pose certain questions in a certain way, or to know what questions to ask another turkey hunter, if that opportunity comes up to talk to someone that maybe knows what they're doing? Or
yeah I'm gonna ask them where the little turds are. That's my biggest question. Where do you find those dang things, man?
I
know.
You go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I know that you had more luck As far as, I felt like you had more activity. I never really got any activity. The only time I got activity was on private property in the middle of the day of work. But I go out on the public lands and try to find those things, and I just had no luck, and so
It's been kind of interesting talking to people about turkey hunting. Like some people, you're like, oh, I don't know. I'm sure there's truth to some of it because I feel like everyone has uh, an experience, and so it's almost, in a way, it's like wearing your lucky game socks. Like,
mm-hmm.
oh, I won because I wore my game socks. So it's, people like I've heard are like, oh, you want to make sure not wear red, or make sure your hands are covered, and and then I'm sure there's truth to some things. That's one of the things that for me is trying to get through that of like, okay, what is it, what is the truth of turkey hunting? you know some trying to be quiet when I'm going out. Some like say that they hear really great, that like you don't want to make too much noise on your way out and announce yourself that you don't want to do that hunting anyways, but I think that's one. If but where all that lies into what you really got to do to be a better turkey hunter is kind of a bag of tricks for yourself too. Finding those lucky socks, or your lucky coin, or your lucky shotgun, or knife,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, so two thoughts on that. Like, you kind of made me think of whenever it comes to turkey hunting in general. So next year, most of my stuff. So I started looking at all my camo stuff, and I kind of had to throw a few things together and put some stuff together. I didn't have like a nice spring pair of gloves, that I could wear. I mean, most of my gloves are like kind of more for the later hunt season for elk and deer. And so yeah, I didn't really have like gloves or anything. And so next year I'll probably like throughout the year I'll probably get a few more things like that to help quote unquote cover myself a little better or whatnot. But with you saying that though, it is kind of hard to comprehend that, you're like really, a turkey can see your hand? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's hard to for a first time turkey hunter, it's hard to believe that, or I don't know. It's just, I mean, when you go hunt elk and deer, they say, oh, it doesn't matter, you have the bright orange on and it doesn't matter for the elk and deer. And then you go for this little tiny bird. I mean, it's one of the biggest birds in North America, but still it's a bird. And
Well,
they're like, oh, their eyesight is so on point that they can see your hands. And you're like, well, that doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. So.
right. Well, that's like, like my takeaway this year. So like going into the hunt, I didn't know quite what to expect. Like, so I went down to the Richfield area down here in Utah with my little sister. She actually got a turkey, and we kind of piggybacked her and went on to where the area that she went hunting at. And we heard tons of gobbles. We saw one hen that I almost shot thinking it was a little Jake, but, but I didn't, luckily. But then hunting up here, like, I've seen turkeys in the area, but during I looking back, it was probably someone just gobbling at me. I don't know that it was an actual turkey, but it could have been. But anyways, but so my takeaway, what I'm going to work on for next year is I want to pick up a crow call, and I want to pick up an actual gobble call, and then I want to pick up a decoy as well. I feel like like this year, sitting in the stand on this last Saturday, hearing what I'm going to say was turkeys. I feel like if I would have had a turkey or a decoy, I could have maybe had more of an opportunity, because I'm sure they probably saw me and I didn't see them. That's why they probably didn't come in. That's just me creating my own hypothesis. But just talking to other hunters and trying to decipher what they're saying. I feel like those are the two things, or like getting their three things is a gobble, crow call, and a decoy. And then I'm going to throw in my own little thing is kind of make up my own little blind out of burlap sacks or something. Try to come up with some little lightweight blind that I can just throw on my little pack and take it with me. I don't want to make it too cumbersome. I don't want to pack a room on my back, as I'm going through the woods. But anyway, that's kind of like my takeaway this year. I had a great time. It was fun getting out there in the woods and trying to have a turkey, but turkeys won this year and hopefully not next year. I'm going to come back, hopefully a better hunter.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of that, the other takeaway that I'm pretty grateful for is it got me out in the woods a little bit earlier this year. Usually I'm not thinking about camping until maybe mid-June or, July, something like that, and then elk season, deer season, start thinking about it a little bit more in August or whatever, maybe do a couple scout trips or something like that. But turkey season definitely got me out there a little bit earlier, which was nice. I'm glad that it, gave me a reason to get out there in the woods a little bit earlier. So, I that's a pretty positive takeaway for me as far as, I'm pretty proud of it to just, like I said, just experience the woods a little bit more, learn more about the woods and so on and so forth. One other thing that I want to talk about, I think I was going to bring it up in a couple podcasts ago, but it was whenever I was out camping a few weeks ago. I was listening to some podcasts while we, had time to kill. And I was listening to the Wired to Hunt guys, or with Mark Kenyon. And he was talking, and I feel bad because this thought just came to me. If I would have thought about talking about it, I would have researched who the guy was. But he had a couple guests on, and they were talking about their turkey hunt. And the guy said, yeah, I went out there like opening morning or whatever. And I think he said he was kind of on private property, but he said that his door to his Ford pickup, like, even whenever you try to shut them quietly, they kind of shut loud.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this has to do with anything necessarily, but he's like, I shut that door and like right away there was gobbles all around him. And he's like, and he kind of used that as his locator, kind of figured out where they were or whatever, and went after him. And he was kind of talking about how easy his turkey hunt was. And he's like, I was excited to get my turkey so fast, but then at the same time, I was kind of disappointed that I got it so fast because it was kind of an easy year or whatnot. But he said that, and I was like, man, you just never know. Like, I mean, you could go out there with all the tactical, gear and all the right stuff and not really run into anything, or you could just shut your Ford pickup door and get your turkey in the first day. I think it's Fords only. So I'm only saying that because I'm driving a Ford now. So
oh, are you?
yeah. Not necessarily my choice. It's my work pickup, but hey, it's a work pickup. So
I'm gonna try that out. I'll take that Ford out there and close the door. And
I'm slamming my door everywhere I go now.
Is that the new Lucky Socks?
Yeah, that's my lucky sock. Exactly. No, I just thought that was kind of crazy. I was going to talk about that a couple podcasts ago, and then I completely forgot about it or whatnot. But I just thought that was pretty crazy that he shut his door and those things just started gobbling at him. And
well, with that being said, I hope whoever's listening, if you if you'll put in a little comment or something of something you did that, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be turkey hunting, but like any type of hunting, you did something and you found out where the turkeys were, or the buck jumped up, or um I don't know, just something you did that you didn't expect would give you success. leave
Yeah.
a comment. I think that'll be kind of fun to hear.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great idea. Sorry, I was just writing a note down. You made me think of something. So
Glad to hear you think.
yeah, it does happen every once in a while. I'm trying to get a little bit better, make some show notes during the podcast, so I can remember what we're going and what we're doing. Trying to take this podcast thing a little more serious,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't think we have rules necessarily, but we have the Fact Jack segment.
Oh yeah.
And since it's kind of the end of the turkey season, we just got done with our turkey conversation, turkey weekend, and all that stuff. Maybe I'll just get the Fact Jack out of the way real quick. So the Fact Jack is about turkey, and just a few quick facts about them. Turkeys can fly in short bursts up to 50 miles per hour, and like to sleep in trees and stay clear of predators. Male turkeys do gobbles and puff up to attract a mate, and females chirp and cluck to communicate. And that is a fact, Jack. So
that sounds like a couple good facts.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to say, but I didn't know before I started hunting turkey this year. I was trying to do some research, and I did know that before I started hunting. But the gobbles, chirps, and clucks. So the gobbles are a male thing, and I didn't know that. I thought just all the turkeys made the same noises, if you will. But the gobbles are from the male turkeys, and the chirps and the chucks. So mostly what we do with our mouth reads or our calls we're basically pretending to be females. So.
Right. So that's, I think, like, what I was saying about the turkeys, I heard that I just was hearing those little clucks or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, like, if I was hearing it, I'm going to say I heard it. So that way, like, I feel like I had some success, but
yeah.
Anyway, it's probably just playing all in my head. My head is just making it up, but
yeah, for sure. So, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for the turkey season. I think it kind of helped us come up with some good content for the last few podcast episodes that we've done, and it's kind of sad that it's all over with, because that was kind of my go-to, was to talk about my turkey hunt. So now we're gonna have to come up with other things to open up the podcast with. But with that said, though, a couple exciting things going on here in Colorado is the second chance draw is coming up.
Okay. Wait, second chance. So what's the second chance draw? Is that like, so they've already had one round of draws?
Yeah. So they had their primary draw. And so the second chance, I'm really banking on the second chance, because I really messed up with the I thought the primary was later on in the year. I can't remember even whenever it opened up to put in for your preference points and stuff, but I thought it was a little bit later. And then by the time I looked it up, was about the time I was going to get my turkey tag, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to figure out when the primary draw is, so I can get in on that. And then I found out that it was over with, that the primary already happened. So I was like, oh man, that really blows. So the second chance draw is basically your second chance to try to get in there. Some of the primary guys that didn't draw for their special unit or something, like that's their second chance to try to get it. another thing is I was listening to another podcast, and he had an episode about the second draw, and they were saying that it kind of leans more toward youth. So like the youth, whatever they put in for, they'll probably get it before adults will. So, you know, the biggest thing that I want to draw for is just to be able to get a muley, and I'm still going to do over the counter second season elk in my unit. So I'm not too worried about the elk part or any real major like special hunts anywhere. I'm still kind of trying to build up my preference points. I just want to draw for a mule buck. And so so I'm hoping I get something in the second chance draw, but that is kind of a downside is the I mean, it's not a downside. It's a great thing for the youth because it helps them get into you know, hunting and stuff, and get, you know, gives them a chance to get, you know, a hunt of a lifetime or whatnot. So I'm really happy for that. But selfishly, I'm like, well, hopefully I get something in the second chance, and if I don't, then I definitely learned my lesson for not paying more attention and knowing when the primary opened up and getting in there.
At least you still have an opportunity, though. Like, you know, for getting to to watch when those dates were. You know, like at least you still have an opportunity to put in for one of the hunts.
Yeah, and then if worse comes to worse, I can't remember the technical name for it, but you know, there's people that when it gets a little closer to the whatever hunting season is, there's some people that you know drew out, you know, plan on going hunting, and then you know something happens in their life or whatever the case may be, and they can't you know go on that hunt. They have this other deal toward like August or like later August or something. I have to do a little more research, but it's kind of like a third chance, sort of. Basically, people that can't fulfill their tag or whatnot, they'll turn their tag back in, and then it's kind of like opens up again for another chance to hunt. But I think you have to go. I think you have to go to like a Parks and Wildlife office and figure all that out. You might be able to do it online. I'm like I said, I'll have to do a little more research. I probably should have done that before I started the podcast, but I didn't even think about talking about that part of it. But so what I'm trying to say though is there's actually almost 3 opportunities to try to get
3 different application periods for you to put in for.
Exactly. So, which is kind of cool. So yeah. Hopefully I can just draw what I want to draw for the second chance draw and go from there. But we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, well, it's like for here in Utah, they got the antler-less permit draw going on now till the 18th of June. That I'm going to put in for that for a doe tag. I got a neighbor down the road that we've been talking, hunting and, you know, sharing stories, and he was saying, you know, he was wanting to do a hunt together. So I think we're going to put in for that to see, hopefully we draw out. I think it'll be kind of fun. I've never done an antlerless hunt besides, you know, like a doe hunt. I think growing up in Idaho, we had the opportunity with the tag that we had to hunt either a buck or a doe, because the only reason I know that is because the first deer that I shot, I thought was a doe, and it turned out to be a little spiked buck, but I wasn't a good hunter and didn't read the regulations during the time I was hunting. And growing up, everyone was always like, "Oh, I got my buck tag," you know, and so you just assume you're hunting for a buck.
Yeah.
At least, you know, in the Nevada where my dad and my uncles were hunting. But yeah. And so when I was 12, found out I can hunt a doe. So I went hunting the next morning and came across a group of does, pulled up on one that stood broadside long enough and fired a shot, and it walked up to it and it had a little spikes on it.
Really?
Yeah.
So I I had a similar story. It wasn't my first doe, but I had a similar story where that happened to me. There was this doe that, well, what I thought was a doe up on the side of the hill, and took my shot, cleanest shot I ever made, man. Bullet went right through it. It, jumped up, fell right down, didn't move. It was dead right away, right? So I was like, yeah, man, perfect shot. So excited about it. Walk up there, start to check it out, and I noticed the thing had balls. I'm like, what happened here? Like, I thought it was just a good sized doe up on the hill, and then the other thing, it wasn't as big as I thought. Like the way it was setting up on the hillside, or maybe I was just antsy to get an animal. I don't know what the deal was, but I was pretty young. I was probably a teenager, and so I was just excited to try to get something. But what memory serves is, as I was so excited about, I was like, oh, that's a pretty good sized doe, and I walk up to it and I'm like, it's not really that big. And then, like I said, I saw his balls, and I was like, and it's not a her. And then I felt it up on its head. I felt like little nubs. There wasn't even spikes that were coming out. It was just like some nubs.
Huh.
And yeah, so I had kind of a similar experience as you, but yeah, that was crazy. I kind of felt bad about it too, to be honest with you, because I felt bad. I mean, because it was a buck, man. It might have been a trophy buck, like in a few more years, But
Right.
and so I don't know, that I just had a hard time with that one, just because I just kind of felt bad about killing. Well, I'm trying to stay away from it, but I'll just say it is that I used to say that I literally shot Bambi, because that's what it felt like, and it kind of made me feel bad, man. So
Oh shoot.
don't judge me. Don't judge me. We all make mistakes.
Oh man.
Yeah. So is that only in certain areas that doe draw?
Yeah, it's not like it doesn't cover as much of the state as I kind of thought it did. It has its own little certain areas in the state, and it's a different. Was it a different time?
Oh, a different time of year too, huh? Or maybe.
I guess don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure.
We really probably need to take some time out and read the regulations.
Well, the thing is, like, I thought I knew, but like, I hate, like, I get in here and I just start thinking of it, and I start overthinking, and
Yeah,
I don't.
I do the same thing, because you're afraid. Because for me, I'm like, I don't want to say the wrong thing, and then there's that guy that's like, dur, dur, dur,
Right.
and
I'm gonna call you out.
yeah. So you're like, well, maybe I shouldn't say it, because I don't want to make a overstatement and then have a bunch of blowback. So I feel you, or I don't know. That's what I think sometimes whenever I start thinking about that. Because I was gonna say, in our state of Colorado, as far as I know, maybe it's only certain units too, and I could be wrong about this, but I want to say that we're, as far as I know, that we're not able to shoot does at all. It's pretty much buck only draw, and everything's a draw, which is different than Idaho too. I
At least
sometimes I wish that Colorado would just adopt the Idaho.
I don't know how much of Idaho is really over the counter anymore. I feel like
They're starting to move into where everything's draw too, huh?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
need to get better about the draw myself, because I feel like eventually Colorado's going to just try to do draws on everything. There won't be such thing as over the counter eventually. And I could be wrong about that, but I don't know. you just never know. So
True. But yeah, so I mean, this year I'm kind of excited for the rest of the year because, with turkey hunting being over, it gets me, looking forward to um, spending a little bit more time scouting. Well, now that Utah, I know where I'm hunting, I can for the deer, I can start doing some scouting for that on the weekends. I got a little bit of a drive, but you know, possible. It's doable. Then, then the elk hunt coming up too, so it's got to start scouting for that. Um, but yeah, so I think, sorry, I just was sitting there thinking the one area that I was hunting for elk last year, I don't have my deer tag's not in the same area, but I think I can hunt elk in the same area that I'm going to hunt deer at this year.
Oh, nice. That's the same thing that I'm hoping to go after too, is where I can kind of, my goal is hunt for elk, have a deer tag, happen to stumble into a deer, take the deer, and still continue elk hunting. That's my goal. So I'm hoping that I have that same opportunity where I can draw out of the same unit and pretty much the same thing. So
yeah. So that's going to be, I mean, that's kind of fun, kind of exciting too, like with this doe hunt coming up, I'm kind of fun, I think, in a way too, to do that hunt, to do something just a little bit different than I have been.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. That's the thing about doing this podcast and really immersing ourselves in all of that is all trying to look for opportunities to help kind of bring up content. And I mean, if we weren't doing the podcast, well, I can't remember if we started the podcast before or after the turkey season, but before, I probably wouldn't have gotten my turkey tag. I mean, I probably would have just let another year go by, but we started the podcast and I just wanted to have something to talk about and make some content. So, I got my turkey tag and got into it, and here we are. So it's kind of nice for that, kind of forces you to get out there and experience the woods a little bit more. And, hopefully like next year we'll kind of pay a little more attention to the regulations whenever we talk about them and be a little more precise of what we're talking about. And yeah, but I mean, I think this podcast has been kind of a positive for that reason though, is because we've talked about all this stuff a lot more than probably we normally would.
Right. And that's kind of like, like along those lines, like just being able to sit down and talk with you about hunting and whatnot, like usually when you sit down to talk about it with someone, like sometimes it's at a gas station or, you just happen to bump into them. How was your season? Oh, mine was great. How was, have any luck? Yeah, I did. You get like a watered down version of the actual hunt, or, if someone is giving you some information, it may not be able to unload everything to you because of time restraints. And then the other thing too is talking back, what we've learned and what we need to learn. For me at least, if I have something to bounce stuff off of, I'm more than likely going to remember it, and not only remember it but do what I've been told to what tactics to change in my hunting. On that note, one of the things though, I need to be a more persistent hunter. Like I found that,
Me too.
like I'll more than likely take it's 3:00 in the afternoon, I'm gonna head home, or I feel like I want to do better about making sure that I'm almost spending more time out in the woods than back at camp.
Yeah, I have that same thought too. I've been kind of racking my head about that too, going, how can I be more successful with these elk on public lands? And I mean, a lot of it is trying to be out there when other guys aren't. When other guys are like, let's head back to camp, there's nothing out here. I'm still out there trying to get my elk, and you know, just like you said, like being more persistent, and really kind of keeping the goal in front of my mind, keeping knowing why I'm out there, understanding why I'm out there, and not trying to talk myself out of it, because it's easy to do. You get
For
bored,
sure.
you're out there, you're not running into anything, you're getting a little hot, whatever. You're like, hey man, I got a bag of Doritos at the camp. We can go there and eat that. you know and you start talking yourself out of basically being out there in the woods, and you start, oh, there's nothing out here anyway.
Right.
And then the hunt season's over. I feel like the last couple of years, kind of drive away. Last couple of years, well, anyways, like me and you, like we're driving away, and I'm looking back going, kind of wish we would have hit it a little harder, like
Yeah.
kind of feeling bad about it. So
Right. And I feel like, like is in a way, like I kind of consider myself a decent hunter, like I'll go out and spend all day at times, but at the same time, on the flip side, like I, I want to go back and hang out at camp, like relax a little bit. And I think there's kind of a stigma there in a way, people listening and, other, like back in the day, your grandfather, your dad, and, it kind of was going to hunting camp and the time to be away from the wife and family, like it was
yeah,
your time to do whatever you wanted. And there's an excuse to get away. And that's not necessarily, why I want to go out in the woods to hunt, like I want to, I'd like to relax, but at the same time, like I want to be successful. I want to, I want to get an animal out, and it's kind of twofold too, I get to be out in the woods, and I like the meat, I like the quarry. I like the food. I like, I know where my food come from. I know pretty much what it's been eaten.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, that's a really good point, and I agree 100%. I mean, I think a lot of for a lot of people out there, the style of hunting you do is what you learn from your old man, your grandpa, your uncles, whoever you went hunting with the most. And you tend to do that as an adult or whatnot. And sometimes though, it's not the right way, because they weren't going to hunting camp. It was party camp. My old man, he could tie one on, and he was more concerned about opening up a bottle of whiskey than he was packing out a elk. And I don't know. So me growing up though, I'm not so worried about bottle of whiskey. I do want to get the elk and stuff, but it's hard to break habits though, because that's just kind of the way you're raised, is get back to camp and hang out, or and even though you kind of know that you might be leaving something out in the woods, because growing up, like I guess what I'm breaking it down a little bit more, growing up, sun would come up so much or whatever, and sun would come up so much, and your mentor or whoever you were with, your old man, whoever, I'd tell you, there's nothing out here, it's dead time now, it's nothing going on. And you just go back to camp. So then, you become an adult, you're hunting yourself, the sun comes up, and you don't know why you're saying it. You're just starting to say, it's dead time to go back to camp. But is it though? I mean, you know what I mean? Like maybe you
right.
should be hanging out there a little longer. And So you're right. I like that you brought that up because, like I said, every year I feel like every year I get better and better as a hunter. You know, I mean, I know me and you, we've hunted together the last few years, been able to accomplish that. And I mean, we're hiking, we're putting in the work for sure, but there's always that like little thing going, I wonder if we would have maybe walked another half mile. I wonder if we would have stayed out another hour. I wonder if we would have went out an hour earlier. You know, all these little adjustments, you know, I always kind of break that down whenever we're leaving hunting camp and we don't have anything in the back of the pickup. I'm like, maybe we could have done this, that, and the other, you know? And
Right.
so
That's
I definitely want to focus on that, you know, just like we're out there for a reason. Let's do it, you know, let's
yeah.
get with it.
That's, you know, that's one thing is been thinking about, you know, the hunts, and it's hard too, because like the people I hunt with are like the people I want to hang out with too, you know, like it. So it's, I mean, it's great to get to hunt with people that you like, and at the same time, like you know, we're guilty of it. We'll sit there and talk for a little bit longer. We're not, you're either not going out hunting when we should, or we're not paying attention as much as we should.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, I think you've said it before too, you know, you're having a good time, you know, it's, you don't fully regret it, but you know, like but you kind of regret it because you're like, well, I could have done a little harder, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is, you know, that's another good point that you're bringing up though, is it's about being out there with your buddies, and it's about, you know, having that time and connecting with your buddies, learning, you know, learning together, learning off of each other. I mean, the whole experience, you know, if hunting was a complete solo thing, I don't think it'd be as fun for me. I mean, of course I want to do some of those hunts, like try them out and stuff, but man, I don't know. I love being with my buddies. I love, you know, I love going out with you every year. I mean, it's kind of a tradition that we just started a few years ago, and you know, we're still trying to work out the kinks because I haven't repaid the favor and got out to Utah yet, but you know, it's something that I'm excited to start doing it, or you know, keep doing, and you know, do more of it though. And you know, I love it. I mean, we've been friends since we were kids, and I just love going out there and hanging out with you and hunting together. And you know, we're both we both have the same passion. We're aligned with the same passion, and so it makes it real easy to hang out and you know, kind of have the common goal.
True.
And I think for both of us, you know, I kind of get the same bug as you, even though I haven't been able to get out there with you yet. Hopefully this year I do. But there's something to be said just like going out and helping your buddy, you know, like I'm excited to go out there and you know, try to lay out some bugles or whatever during your bow hunt, if you allow me.
I think it's more if your wife allows you.
Well, yeah. Well, I was talking about the bugling part because I don't know if you trust me enough yet or not. But yeah, no, my wife does play a major role in that, because if she don't let me, it's going to be a little tricky this year with the new baby and stuff. But I'm sure she'll be okay with it. She might even be like, "Get out of here." Hopefully.
Not true.
Hopefully for my sake. Hopefully I'll just start getting really annoying around August.
Right. I don't know what it is, but I sure can't stand him.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, she'll be that might be the game to play. I gotta stop telling all my secrets on the podcast, but that'll be the game to play though, is just be like, yeah, just get in her face and be all up on her. She'll be like, you need to go hunting or something with Joe. Deal. See you later.
Right. Truck's loaded. I'm gone.
Yeah. The next thing that she'll hear is the tires squealing out of the driveway.
Make sure your phone's turned off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I will have service
Right.
for the whole weekend. No, but no, I'm sure we'll be okay though. I'm sure I'll be able to get out there for a weekend or something in August. So I'm pretty excited about it. But
Yeah, so am I. I don't know, every year. It was kind of funny though. Like for me, not funny, but it was, once the turkey season went ended up, back of my head, I was like, all right, deer and elk now. It was kind of like, yeah, got that still.
yeah, for sure. I'm kind of the same way as far as um well, I kind of want to focus a little more attention towards some horn hunting. I tried to do a little bit of it while I was turkey hunting, but uh didn't really do like that hard or anything. I was obviously there for turkey, so but I was like, it'd be kind of cool if I stumbled across some horns somewhere.
True.
So I might try to do that in the next couple weeks or so. I mean, I don't know. It's going to be tough. Like I said, I mean, getting ready to have a baby here soon. So I don't know how much getting out I'm going to be able to do, but I'll try to do what I can. I am kind of excited though to go fishing. Uh, so I might be trying to do that too here this summer, just whenever I can get out. I don't know if I'll be able to do as much as I'm hoping to, but
So you have to go a long ways to do fishing. Like, can you fish fairly close to home, or you like an hour or two drive to go fishing?
yeah, there's a few ponds in town here that you can go to. Um, but I kind of like to get out in the woods. I want to do more. I never did too much of this ever. Is kind of those lakes that are you have to hike to. There's no roadway. I kind of want to do a few more of those. I
Yeah.
never really did too much of that growing up, and kind of regret it.
Yeah, well, we have a couple here in Utah, up Mirror Lake Highway. There's a couple, I guess, supposedly some good lakes that you can hike up into. Like it's some of them are close to as a mile, and you can, I think, go clear up to like 10 miles or 20 miles. Just to I think that sounds fun too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and the nice thing is some people are a lot. There's not going to be as many people out there too. I mean, once you throw hiking into it, it's kind of a lot of people kind of veer the other way, if you will. So,
Right. I got a story on that, but I'll share it another time.
yeah.
Yeah. A little backpack fishing trip that got a little well, it wasn't, it got interesting. We'll say I got a little scared.
Oh, I think I know what story you're talking about.
I don't think I've shared it yet on the podcast.
I don't think you have either. You told me about it last hunting camp. I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about now.
So when we get a better topic on it, I'll share that one.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, let's save that one. Sorry, folks. You're gonna have to wait. But it's a good story though. It's a crazy story, actually. We keep like dropping all these hints. We're gonna talk ourselves into telling it here in a minute.
Right. I know. It's like, well, might as well tell it.
Yeah. Well, let's unless you want to tell it. Do you want to tell it?
No, I want to save it.
Okay, let's save it. Let's go into this I mean, we've kind of talked about this a few times, but to go into it again is like, for me, I'm always looking for the newest, brightest thing out there, anything that'll give me an advantage for hunting. But something that I want to relay out there is man, there's stuff that me and Joe have that we've had for 10 plus years that we still take out hunting, like as far as clothes or a layer. I mean, I have some layers that are bulky. They're no fun to hunt in necessarily as far as hiking or anything, but whenever you're cold, they work. Do they work as good as the latest gear out there? No, they don't, but they work. And I don't know, like that's just something, if you're a newer hunter or I don't know, just go out there with what you got. And over time, I mean, this is what me and Joe do because me and Joe rock on a budget all the time. And, we just try to update every year. I go out there and I go, okay, what do I really want for next year more than anything else? And then I try to get those few things. I love the newest gadgets. And one of these days hopefully I'm rocking the latest and greatest, newest, lightest gear out there. And the problem is that by the time I buy all this stuff, they'll have something else that's brand new and better. And I'll be like, oh man, I missed it. I bought it too early. I bought this stuff too early. It's old now. I need something new. But, it's the way it goes. And I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of where it is. I mean, I'm definitely all about new stuff and wanting the latest and greatest. I get the pressure, man. I love to buy new stuff for myself. I love to buy new hunting stuff for myself for sure. But I can't always afford everything that is out there. And so, I deal with it. And like I said, I mean, there's stuff that me and Joe have had for 10 plus years, but there's probably something I know I have some stuff in my hunting tote that I've had since high school and I still carry with me. I might not use it as much, but I still carry it with me.
Well, like even on that note though, too, like I'll throw it out there that some of the stuff I take out that I, as backup even for hunting camp is used stuff, like stuff that I've found at a yard sale or a thrift store that, it's not that I'm going to use it every day, or it's more typically that stuff for me is geared more for cold weather. So that way, like if I come across a snowstorm, I need some higher boots for deeper snow. Like, I can put those on and still go hunting. But like that's my budget. Is it the newest and greatest? No. Do I want it? Yeah. The newest and greatest. But at the end of the day, it gives me the opportunity to still go out.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not spending all your money on the gear and then you can't afford to pay for gas to go out to the woods.
Right.
So, yeah. No, it's just something, I mean, I think about all the time, I mean, if you love being out in the woods, you're going to be out there with no matter what you got. And
so, like on that, so as far as gadgets go, like as archery, one of the things that I haven't quite decided if I'll ever go, but I would like to try is that you can range your target and then you can dial in your shot distance on your sight. And then that pin is wherever the distance you dial in.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen that before.
I don't know that I necessarily want one of those, but I think it'll be fun to like play around with to see if I'd want something like that.
It sounds like a neat little gadget that would probably work.
Right. But it's one of those things that, I don't quite know how to try it out to see how much I would like it, or if I would like it or wouldn't like it. And then one of the things going around too is I'd like to try, have you seen where you can have your phone talk to your scope or your rangefinder, so you can like range something and then the rangefinder talks to your scope and tells you how far that shot is, and it makes all those adjustments for you.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet, but that sounds like a pretty cool gadget that I kind of want.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's not legal to hunt with in every state. I don't know what all the states are, but like that was one thing I saw going around. I think it looks kind of cool. I wouldn't mind trying that out either.
Yeah, I would really. Yeah, I want to get one of those cell phone gadgets for spotting scope. Just that sounds like a little more high tech one or whatnot. But I know they have the ones, or maybe it is. I guess I haven't looked into it that much, but I've seen it on some of the hunting shows where they have their cell phone hooked up to their spotting scope and they're just looking at their phone. Uh-huh. Instead of looking through the eyeglass. I kind of want to get one of those mounts.
Yeah, phone scopes.
But what you're talking about though sounds like a little more high tech deal,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, like that. Your your scope on your rifle and the rangefinder communicate.
Oh, I gotcha. Really?
Yeah.
God, I wonder how much that costs.
Yeah.
I'm
So
kidding. That sounds cool though.
it does. Like I'd wouldn't mind trying that out sometime either. Just seeing what, does it make me a 500-yard shooter, or a
Yeah.
yard shooter? Can I shoot that far?
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you wonder, huh?
Yeah.
I really like that idea. Huh. Got me thinking. I want to get one of those. We got to figure out a way to get one of those. Maybe we should start a GoFundMe.
Yeah. Sounds
Just
good.
playing. Just playing, folks. We're not asking for a GoFundMe. We just want your support. Give us likes and comments.
Yeah.
But unless you really want to give us a GoFundMe, then put it down in the comments.
Right.
We'll see what happens. No, I didn't know that. I'll have to look into that whenever I get some time or something. I'll have to research that. Do you know what it's called, or is it just something kind of?
I don't remember what it was called or who made it. I can't remember who made it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I guess, whenever I think of gadgets, I never really, for me, it's more like my rifle. I want to update my rifle. I want to update my scope, I guess. I mean, I don't have a bad scope. I had to buy a new scope last year. So
right.
I had, so to the audience that doesn't know, like I had to buy a new scope last year. The day before hunt season. This is kind of what you've talked about in the past about like working on your truck before you go out hunting because the alternator goes out or something. Literally, this happened with my rifle. I went out. I've had the scope. For one, the scope was given to me for one, and I just threw it on my rifle. And it's been a good scope. Like it wasn't a bad scope, and I just kind of kept using it, thinking, oh, one of these days I'll upgrade that scope and do something with it, But I, at the time, like the scope that I had was just fine, worked just fine. Go out target practicing, and get my rifle all sighted in, and I mean it was it was obviously the last shot, but I had it zeroed in, and then I took like 2 more shots to just make sure that it was fairly zeroed in, right? Decently zeroed in. And the very last shot, all of a sudden my scope just like blew up like blurry. I couldn't see through it. And I sitting there messing with my power, going, oh man, my power must be off or something, like messing with it. And it was just gone.
Huh.
This is the day before hunting season. Did I tell you this story?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the day before hunting season. And I mean, it's already kind of getting a little bit later. I had enough time to go get a new scope and bring it back out there and zero it in again. But the second time that I went out there, it was a lot quicker. So it was kind of a hope and a prayer that like everything was zeroed in and dialed in just fine for the hunt season. Yeah, so my scope just like got all blurry, blew out on me, and there I was like, I have to go buy a new scope. I can't go up there without a scope. So I had to run down, and I went and got a Vortex, what do they call it? Crossfire 2 or something like that. With I can't remember what the BDE or BDC sights. I think it's BDC. Has the crosshairs with the little lines to kind of help you for distance.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I got that scope, and so far from what I've tested it out with it, I really like the scope. It's gonna do the trick for me and everything. But yeah, that was kind of a crazy experience. So I couldn't believe that that last shot. I was like, all right, I'm gonna Yeah, call her a day. My gun's good and zeroed. And then the scope just blew out on me. And I was like,
Yeah, I think
what
you
the
even
heck?
texted me and was like, "Hey, can I maybe borrow your rifle?"
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, I almost did that. But I I don't know. It was kind of like one of those things where I'm like, well, at least I get a new scope out of the deal. So, you know, it was kind of a emotional purchase.
Right. Oh
So
man, I have to buy a new scope. Dang it.
yeah.
Yucks.
Yeah, the wife was feeling sorry for me. I was trying to
Big
play it up.
eyes.
I was playing it up a little bit. S Sorry, hon.
I
But
feel
I was playing it up, making it sound like it was a, well, it is dramatic. I mean, what would I have done? And actually, I mean, like if you, because you were coming up,
yeah,
but what would I have done if, you know, if you weren't coming up and I didn't have, I mean, I had to buy a new scope, really.
right.
There
True.
was no, I know you offered me your gun, but I was like, well, I haven't shot his gun. You know, I'd feel weird. And, you know, I'm a little more used to my gun. So I was like, I'd rather just get a new scope. Plus, like I said, I got a new scope out of the deal, so can't
True.
complain.
True.
So, yeah, but so that kind of stuff happens. And sometimes you're forced to get new gadgets. But yeah, I think every year, man, we get new gadgets every year. I know I do. I need to get better. You were talking about the secondhand stores and going in there and sometimes come across something pretty nice for hunting purposes. And I'm bad about that. I never go in there. I never think about that. I need to get better about going in there and looking for some hunting stuff. Cause you have that one vest, I think, that you said that you got.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's a really nice vest for a secondhand store. So
Heck yeah.
that, no, it was a really good pickup. That's a really good
I
get.
think I only paid a couple bucks for it too, like $1.50 or $2. So yeah,
Yeah.
and so that was so yeah, I got that from a thrift store, and I think I've hunted in that for 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah. That's such a good get. I'm kind of jealous because I remember you telling me the story about that too. And you were like, yeah, I only paid a couple bucks for it. And I'm like, what? I'm like, man. But whenever it comes down to it, I'm looking up all the websites that, you know, the same vest or the same, not necessarily the same vest, but the same type of vest, if you will, costs like $150, $200. And that's what I look for, you know. But I need to probably go to the secondhand store and try to get the cheaper stuff for sure.
Heck yeah. No, that's whatever you want to do. Whatever, that's I think that's the end of the day, whatever keeps you hunting, whatever, you're willing and want to work towards, whatever your efforts go towards. That's bottom line.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's really what it's about. And that's kind of why we brought it up, was just, you know, to help you guys, give you guys ideas of where to get your stuff, or, you know, don't pressure yourself on the fact that you don't have the fanciest of the fanciest stuff right now. Just get it over time. I mean, I'm always chasing something new, and, you know, it's just the way it is. And
True.
I'm always like, man, it'll be nice whenever one of these years I'm not spending all this money on trying to get the nicest gear and I'm just actually going out hunting. But you know, speaking of that though, so like some of my mid layers and base layers, you know, they have like camo print. You can get them in camo print or kind of a, like mostly for mid layer, I'll say, but um, or you can get them in like a solid color and stuff. That's something that I've been kind of looking at, going, you know what, I think I'll do more of a solid color. That way I can kind of, like for the mid layer specifically, I can, you know, wear it outside of just hunting, you know,
Yeah.
kind of get a little more use out of it that way. So
So you don't look like the big old camouflage dude going down the sidewalk.
exactly. You know, that's kind of funny you say that, because like getting all camoed out and everything for turkey season, and, you know, like I kind of felt like a few people looked at me kind of funny, like, what's this guy doing? You know, not realizing that it's like turkey, you know, it's obviously people that don't really hunt and they're like,
Right.
it's springtime. Why is he all camoed out?
Well, I was like, like for me, as I was like walking, hiking back up to the road and getting on the road and walking back to my truck, I'm carrying my butt pad and I got my fanny pack on and like my shotgun I'm carrying over my shoulder, and people are driving by and like, hey, how's it going? I have
Yeah.
no clue if they know it's hunting season or not, but like their four-wheelers are going by. I think there's even a couple people running, like there was 3 people that passed me that they're running. I'm just camouflaged out in the shotgun.
That's funny. That's really funny. Yeah, I can only imagine what they were thinking.
Right.
Same thing kind of happened to me a little bit. I mean, a little differently, but yeah, same thing for the most part kind of happened to me where I felt like people were looking at me kind of funny, like, what's this guy doing in all that camo? Who's he trying to be?
Right. Trying to hide.
Yeah, trying to hide. Can you can see me, really?
Right. Take it back. People can see me.
I kind of did that to a lady at the grocery store. Me and Carter were getting ready to go turkey hunting in the morning, or is the gas station rather, and this lady that works there, she was like putting some stuff away and we were right behind her. And she like started to get up and looked at us and kind of startled her, right? And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, we weren't trying to scare you, but I was like, at least I know the camo works. Got a little laugh out of it. Me and my little corny jokes. But it was kind of funny. So
yeah.
But you want to call her a podcast? I think that we've done a pretty good job this podcast.
Yeah, I covered what I wanted to cover today.
Yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover too. Let me double check. Yeah, I did.
Gold star for Eric.
Yeah. See, taking notes works out a lot better, man. I need to get better about that instead of trying to riff off the top of the dome all the time.
You don't want to do that too much. You might not have dome left.
Yeah, no, gets scary sometimes. Well, guys, I really appreciate you guys listening in. I mean, we're eight episodes in, and Joe and I, we can tell that we're getting a little bit of traction, and it feels pretty darn good. It feels pretty darn good to get a little bit of traction, get some support. All we can ask is if you're on YouTube, leave a comment, leave a like. If you're listening to us on the podcast, try to leave a 5-star or leave 5 stars. And if you're feeling up to it, leave a comment of some sort on there if you can. I know on Apple Podcasts you can do that. I don't know if you can do that on some of the other platforms, but also find us on Facebook. It's the Struggling Hunters on Facebook. Also find us on the Struggling Hunters on Instagram, do we still need to do some work on Instagram? I haven't checked in a while. As far as like getting pictures and stuff up there.
I think I forgot to upload some from this weekend's hunt. I know I did on Facebook, but I didn't put any onto Instagram.
Okay. Well, so we're still kind of getting all that stuff, all the kinks worked out on that stuff, but get engaged with us, especially if you've listened to us this long. You obviously like us a little bit. So, help get engaged with us. And the one thing is, I mean, what's making all this possible right now is the support the growth that we're getting and the support that you guys are giving us. It's really awesome. Very excited about it. Thanks for listening to the Struggling Hunters. I appreciate you. And Joe, I'll let you sign off.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's been fun. Hopefully you guys enjoy listening to us as much as we enjoy talking to each other. Again, make sure to leave a comment on what type, if you ever thought you screwed a hunt up or did something that caused you to be successful or find something. But yeah, give us a like, and we're going to keep this up, and here's to many more.
Yeah, for sure. One more thought. I just got to get this out. This next week, after listening to this podcast and you're going this long, try to do something great every day. Be great. We love you guys. Thanks. Peace. We're out.
Have a good one.
Are you done recording?